All right, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has now issued a fresh statement for all Iranians. He's saying rise up against the regime. He's telling Iranians to take to the streets. Has that happened so far? Well, that has not happened so far, but that has been the hope of Israel and America as well, that more and more people in Iran come to the streets against the Ayatollah regime and topple it. Seize the moment is a phrase that America's President Donald Trump has raised. Has that happened in Iran? So far, that has not happened in Iran, despite the fact that Ayatollah Khamenei has been killed, despite the fact that almost the entire leadership of Iran, whether it's military or civil, has been eliminated as well. So there is this fresh statement that has been issued by Benjamin Netanyahu. This is for all Iranians. He's asking them to rise against the regime and take to the streets. Let's see if the Iranians take his suggestion seriously at all. Colonel, anything? This is PsyOps playing out.
This is PsyOps, and this is what they want should happen. Whether it is actually happening or not is anybody's guess. But both the US and Israel would want this to happen, because the surest way of an upheaval in the regime is to get this kind of create this kind of unrest. It happened in Bangladesh. It happened in Nepal. It's happened in most places. So, but in Iran, like you said yourself, there are a lot of people who are saying dead to America, dead to Trump, and things like that. So we don't know what is exactly happening and what is the kind of in terms of percentage, what is the number of people who are actually supporting the current regime. And let's be honest, there is also this issue of there is an issue of izzat. If I were to be in an Iranian's place, I would be very upset if somebody is saying, yeah, we are going to get after you, and we have sort of destroyed your country.
Even if you don't like the leader. I mean, that's my assumption, that even if you don't like the leader, you have a foreign power coming in, eliminating your top leadership. Yeah. I wonder how many Iranians will be okay with that, even those who don't support Khamenei.
So that's the point. So if you have an overwhelming majority that doesn't support Khamenei, then what you're saying is right. But
okay.
But that only time will tell. That only time will tell. Right now, other than these psy warfare and propaganda, I think that is happening.
Okay.
We don't have any concrete evidence of that happening.
Okay, give me a minute here. Can we just put out the video of Benjamin Netanyahu? He's speaking in Hebrew, but let's put that out. I'm going to translate. I'm going to translate it for you in just a bit. But first, let's try and understand what he's saying. Benjamin Netanyahu's latest video statement, just translating it for you. Just keep that video on air. In the coming days, we will strike thousands of targets of the terrorist regime. We will create the conditions for the brave people of Iran to free themselves from the chains of tyranny. And for this reason, I address you once again. That's what Benjamin Netanyahu is telling the Iranians. He's saying, oh, citizens of Iran, do not let this opportunity slip away. This is an opportunity that comes only once in every generation. Do not sit idle, because your moment will arrive soon. The moment when you must take to the streets, come to the streets in your millions to finish the job, to overthrow the regime of terror that has embittered your lives. Your suffering and sacrifices will not be in vain. The help you have longed for has now arrived. O citizens of Iran, Persians, Kurds, Baluchis, now is the time to unite your forces to overthrow the regime and secure your future. Now, all very well for Benjamin Netanyahu to be saying all of that, but Colonel Rafael, does he realistically expect the people of Iran to take a cue from what he's saying and listen to him and follow instructions?
Obviously not.
Well, in fact, this is the idea, to combine an external help with internal I would say, in a way, riot or manifestations, in order to reach to the same goal, eliminating and overthrowing the existing regime. And this was the message sent by Netanyahu. By the way, this clip was in Farsi, not in Hebrew. And this is something to reach, I would say, every Iranian who is expecting Netanyahu to come to his help. And I think the message was delivered, and something is going on in the streets of Tehran.
as we speak. Well, what is going on in the streets of Iran? Because, you know, there have been two sets of pictures that have come in. In the interest of transparency, in the interest of telling our viewers what exactly is going on, while there have been pictures of celebrations, most of the celebrations have come to us from world capitals where Iranians who were fed up of the regime or were tortured by the regime or targeted by the regime had fled to. So that is one set of pictures. But on the streets of Tehran and other cities in Iran as well, Colonel, we have had pictures come out that are mourning the death of their supreme leader, and they're saying death to America. And I do stand corrected. Benjamin Netanyahu was speaking not in Hebrew but in Farsi. Of course, if he is addressing the Iranian public, he will do that. So thank you for that correction. Meanwhile, as we speak, an explosion has been heard in eastern Riyadh, which means things continue to get things continue to get worse. When I started at 8 o'clock in the morning, I thought the intensity will last till maybe 10 o'clock. And things will quieten down. Nothing has quietened down since we began. Can I just get in General KJ Singh here? General KJ Singh, Colonel Ramachandran here has rightly pointed out that what the Israelis are now doing is PsyOps. When Benjamin Netanyahu steps out, speaks in Farsi and asks all Iranians to unite against the regime in Iran. Do you see that happening?
Yeah, Shreya, it's happening, and I agree with Colonel that starting with the objectives of this operation, you know, these objectives are being painted in such a way as if everybody is doing it for a very righteous kind of purpose, and there is a supreme sort of will of the people which is going to be given shape in this regime change. See, I know two students who've taken guidance from me, Iranian students. You imagine those people, they say, we know the track record of the so-called regime changers, what they did in Iraq, what they did in Libya,
correct,
and what has even happened in Bangladesh or Nepal closer to India. The regime change does not become always for better things. There is tremendous amount of destruction, and the person who comes to power may be worse than the one who has been replaced. So they are actually, those people are in a very difficult kind of a situation. That are they ready to accept chaos for a couple of years? Or is it better to continue with regime which is whatever it is at least delivering some services? So I deeply sympathize with Iranian public. I'm sorry, Colonel Rafael, you have your different aims in that space. I also feel sorry for American senior armed forces leadership. With this kind of unpredictable president, what kind of orders they are receiving, what kind of clarity they have, it's very difficult to imagine. You know, we are lucky to be in a country where we are only thinking of having, you know, our match with West Indies. But our people will be impacted. Our workforce, which is in Middle East, our oil prices, and if this war lasts beyond a couple of days, and see, it's okay. USA and Israel have started the war, but it requires two people to finish the war.
That is true.
The second person is Iran. And who will come in control in Iran? How is it negotiated? And now that port in Oman has been attacked, who's going to mediate? And unfortunately, China is not very responsible in such situations.
You know, China, the only statement China has issued is one seeking de-escalation. Russians we have not heard from. So are the Iranians isolated? By the looks of it, as we speak, they seem to be isolated. And just look at the pictures on your screens. You know, no one is reporting on any fatalities. Casualties, yes, here and there, but no fatalities. But when you have pictures like this coming out, and these are pictures that Israel has released on its fresh attack in Tehran, when you have pictures like this releasing, you know that people have died. This cannot just be military installations. Civilian areas will get hit as well. That's called collateral damage.
Absolutely, and that's happening. So numbers will come out, and I mean, most nations would not reveal their casualties. It's part of warfare. But you know what Netanyahu just said? He said, "We will create favorable conditions for you." I mean, what favorable conditions will he create? You know, Israel has traditionally had this problem that Iran says that we are going to, you know, remove Israel from the map of the world. And likewise, today, the threat is that they are trying to remove Iran from the map of the world. Both are not happening. Their immediate neighbors, they had that threat. Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, they have contained all of them. Now, the only people they're not been able to contain are Iran. Because of that, they perceive that if they develop that nuclear weapon, then the first target of that nuclear weapon, if and when it happens, will be Israel. Of that, they are very sure. So all this is happening to, you know, sort of preempt that and ensuring that that doesn't happen. So I don't think this message, the Israelis are going to read too much into the message of Netanyahu.
Well, the Iranians have a message of their own.
They have their own.
You have the president of Iran issuing a statement now. He's saying that the Islamic Republic of Iran considers its duty and legitimate right to seek blood vengeance and retribution from the perpetrators and the masterminds of this historic crime. So no one giving without a fight, ladies and gentlemen, as we see these pictures coming to us from Tehran, and we see this statement that has been released by the president of Iran, who is vowing revenge. This in the back of the supreme leader of the country, Ayatollah Khamenei, being killed in American and Israeli airstrikes. He's saying the assassination of the great commander of the Islamic nation is an overt war against Muslims. So he's made this about all Muslims, which is interesting. He says this is a covert war against Muslims, especially Shiites in all corners of the world. The Islamic Republic of Iran considers its duty and legitimate right to seek blood vengeance and retribution from the perpetrators and masterminds of this historic crime. What he forgets to, of course, mention is the fact that the entire of the Middle East, where the escalation is happening, is predominantly Muslim. And when Iran bombs a place like Doha or Bahrain or Dubai as well they are Muslims as well. So why make it about Muslims anyhow? That's exactly what he has done. With that, I'm slipping into a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. Fast-paced developments this afternoon.